Yeah, all the best.
مسكين تريد بقرة. ذلك الكتاب هدى Let him read it, man. The first 5 verses. If you are sick in the heart, if you are sick in the heart, you are going the wrong motorway.
I'm not sick in the heart.
Take you somewhere else.
It's
I'm not sick in the heart.
But if you want to have that debate, we'll have that debate.
I like your Quran.
Yeah. Shame you don't understand it.
I understand it enough.
No, you don't.
And I see how
you don't.
the world
If you
ticks.
think you can beat, if you think a Muslim can beat his wife, you don't understand the Quran. Simple.
It says you can beat your wife.
I said understand it.
So do you understand the Torah better than the Quran?
Yeah.
So 1818, who's referring? Which prophet is referring to?
1818.
In the Bible.
What do you mean 1818?
Deuteronomy 1818.
Here ends the lesson.
Who's mentioned that? Who's the Bible?
I've memorised the entire Torah. It's a big book, not your small Quran. The Torah is 6 times larger.
No, what I'm saying is this. Just the Quran says something. Just because it says you have to understand what it's saying to you. It's basically saying you can't beat your wife, even in a crime of passion.
But isn't that a weird way of saying it? Wouldn't it be better to say you can't beat your wife rather than you can beat your wife? If the objective was not to beat your wife.
Okay.
Divorce her, fine, but don't beat her.
Basically, you can do this, yeah? This is the symbolism of it.
Okay. Did everyone say that? He just assaulted me.
Anti-Semitism.
You beat him! You beat him!
It's to show the level
He's not
you're
even
at.
your wife.
So when you admonish her, you separate from her bed. Imagine a crime of passion, you know, you can find your wife.
Does this mean we're married?
Give me the WhatsApp.
No, thank God.
So basically, if it's a crime of passion, for example, incident, and you find your wife in bed with a neighbour, yeah, you admonish her. You say, what have you been doing with the geezer, yeah? Then you have to, I'm not sleeping in your bed anymore, yeah? Then after that, if you're still in the reconciliation, yeah, and you're still messing around, yeah, that's when the symbolic. You understand?
I understand what you're saying, yeah.
That's it.
But I'm just saying it's not
it's
saying...
symbolic of the next... It's symbolic of exactly what he said.
All I'm saying
After that comes talaq.
All I'm saying is it's not saying that you can't beat your wife. Just, you can't beat your wife is really easy to express. It says you can't beat your wife instead of you can beat your wife.
There's only one God.
I understand what you're saying.
No, but you could argue the semantics of the word used as well.
There
are some people who... I'll give you an example. If you speak to Quran-only Muslims, so these Muslims don't accept hadith, they will interpret that verse completely different.
And I do.
They won't even use the word beat.
I don't have a problem.
They say the Arabic word can mean something else.
So
they don't even have the issue of.
I think it's really sad that his wife beats his allowed in
that's fine, but you understand
No. I understand Islam as the Prophet Muhammad taught us, and he said, with regards beating of wives, if you can't cause pain and you can't hit the face and you can't leave a mark, you can't beat your wife. Simple.
Okay, I get that, but I'm just saying, if the message was don't beat your wife, wouldn't it have been much easier to explicitly say as a law, not as meaning something else, but to say you can't beat your wife?
But then what does the tap symbolise?
Pretty much nothing, actually.
No, it means after that is divorce. That's what it means.
Why go straight to divorce?
Because it's stages, isn't it?
Brother Hamza, can I say... Brother Hamza, I want to make a really important point on this. I raised the point of the United Arab Emirates for a reason. The United Arab Emirates understand that verse differently to maybe you, and I don't know to what extent they say you can beat your wife, but they understand that verse in the Quran as meaning you can literally beat your wife if she's disobedient. So the reason I'm saying, if the Quran was to send a much clearer message, and the message was you can't beat your wife, surely sending a verse which is unambiguous, which explicitly states you can't beat your wife, would be a...
I'll say to you again. I'll say it
would be much better.
I think you misunderstood what I said to you.
Okay, maybe I did.
If you see, I'm not going this definitive on the Arabic words used. If you speak to a Quran,
and they're interpreting that when she does disobey her husband, that means you can discipline her.
I'll say to you again, right? First thing,
I know that you believe that, and I know that Brother Hamza doesn't beat his wife either.
No, but I don't speak on behalf of the United Arab Emirates. I don't even know which fatwa you're talking about. I don't know who give that fatwa. I don't even know how valid it is. I don't know who accepts it.
There's one Supreme Council which basically says...
Are you saying the law of United Arab Emirates is you can beat your wife? Because I think you're wrong.
Yeah, okay, so we can pull that up. I can bring you the...
Go on then. What's it?
I want to make mistakes just because I don't like to make mistakes. It didn't say fatwa. What it said, they issued a ruling, so I read it in English. So I don't know if that ruling is translated as fatwa or is it translated as a different law in the penal code. So it could be either. It could be either. So I don't want to misrepresent Emirati law and my own. This is all on camera.
See, here's what you got to understand. If you look at the rest of the Quran, you can see how we are with our wives. Yeah, we wrap ourselves in each other. Men are the twin half of women. The best of you, best of your wives, according to Muhammad. All of these things marry you can't be your wife, mate, because you can't beat somebody who you're supposed to love.
Quran says you can.
Because you misunderstood it.
Quran says you can. It's not a good book then, is it? It's not a good book.
It's not my fault. You think you can interpret things. You have no ability.
I didn't write it.
It's not my fault.
It says you can beat your wife.
You to understand it.
Quran should have made it an important thing like that. The Quran should say so.
An important thing like that, you should seek proper understanding of.
No. God should give understanding. God should tell you about wife beating, a thing like that.
He does. Speak to his messenger. He does.
Of all the Jews I know, by the way, he's the one with the least agenda. I don't follow the Quran. He actually has very nice things to say about Islam and the Quran, and he thinks they're potentially divine. So it's
yes, I believe the Quran is divine.
You're actually arguing someone who's maybe more on your side than
I believe the Quran is divine.
You do?
Yeah, absolutely. So is the Christian Gospel, so is the Jewish Torah. Yeah, all three were divine.
Why do you believe that?
All three.
I
believe it, yeah. It's all right, you don't have.
No, why do you believe that?
Yeah, I do.
Why do you believe the Christian Gospel?
I think religion's a personal thing.
I personally, but I pray a lot. I pray a lot, and I yes.
So when you believe something, you need to have reason to believe it, yeah? So what's your reasons to believe the Christian?
I told you, I pray. So because I pray, I believe it.
Well, how does that make you believe it? I don't get it. What's your reason?
Well, you don't have to believe me. I just say I do.
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm asking why you believe it.
Yeah, I pray and ask questions.
So who do you ask?
I pray.
So you're telling me you prayed to God and said, God, are the Christian Gospels from you? You've done that? Yeah. And what did you answer?
I'm not going to get into detail. You're going to pray for yourself. Pray and ask it yourself.
I guess the answer is yes.
Pray and ask it yourself.
How do you know it's God saying yes?
Pray and ask it yourself.
How do you know it's God saying yes?
You don't have to believe. I believe it. You don't have to believe it. I believe it. That's all right.
Listen, I'm not questioning what you believe. I'm asking why you believe it.
Yeah, I believe it. So I believe my prayer. The answers I get.
Maybe he doesn't want to.
I believe the answers I get.
Question. I said.
I told you. Look, I told you.
He didn't put it out. I volunteered that information for him.
I said he believes the Christian Gospels are divine. I'm asking why he says that.
Yes.
But I assume for the same reason.
I told you. I pray and I get answers. You could pray and get answers. Yeah, God.
How do you know it's God answering?
You don't have to believe me. I just told you. I believe it. You don't have to.
How do you know it's God?
Because I just. Maybe I'm wrong. But I believe it's God. No, I do. I do.
You don't know.
I do know. I do know.
Can I come back? Because we're kind of like no one's really answering these questions. I think the most important point that's come out of this conversation, for me, I found it really, really interesting, was the purpose of law. So in the Jewish Old Testament and the Torah, the laws are really explicit, and they're kind of, the rabbis have some influence on how they're interpreted, but basically if the Torah says you can do something, it's permissible. If it says you can't do something, it's not permissible. If it doesn't say anything, then legal positivism says you can do it. In Islam, we're saying there's a verse in the Quran, and it's really interesting for me, I'm genuinely interested in it. It says that the verse that says you can beat, or unless you're a Quranist then it means something else, but that actually means the actual opposite of what the verse is saying. So that for me is really, really interesting, and it doesn't seem.
If you look at the context, you look into it. Okay. Look at the tafsir about it. Look at the hadith with regards to it.
I'm listening to them.
Yeah, and that's how you understand the Quran.
So, for instance, could somebody interpret the verse where it says you can't eat everything from the sea? Actually, here's a great example. In the Torah, it says that you can't eat anything from the sea unless it has fins and scales. Yeah, almost all streams of Islam, with the exception of the Hanafi, say that actually everything from the sea is lawful, because that's what the Quran says. The Quran says everything in the sea is lawful unto you. So could we exist in a world where actually that verse could mean the complete opposite, and it actually means that you can't eat everything from the sea?
Depends whether or not the Prophet Muhammad elaborated on that verse.
So because the Hanafi, I believe the Hanafi say that you can only eat what the Jews eat, basically, which is which is what the Jews do. Is that coming from a hadith?
No, but here's the thing. Do you understand schools of fiqh?
Yeah.
You understand?
I don't know how they work, but I understand.
You understand, like for example, Hanafi fiqh from Abu Hanifa.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Say again.
The school of what Hanafi might teach now may not come from Abu Hanifa. You understand that?
I understand that things can evolve along the way and things can come in and corrupt something. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is, if you can go to Hanafi fiqh and find polar opposites on the same issue.
Okay. And you're saying because those polar opposites exist, only one of them can be right. So am I keeping up with you? Sorry, you're moving quite fast.
I'm just giving an example. I'm trying to go that definitive. So, for example, let's say in Hanafi fiqh they say you can't eat shellfish, you can't eat lobster, you can't eat crabs. The mic's up. The mic's up. Oh, is it? Oh, where's that cheeky scamp? Is that yours?
Yeah. Where's yours?
That's mine off. Cheeky what?
he's selling the audio. I'll get you a good deal.
No,
£10, 20. I'll cut you on 10%.
finished with them. I didn't know he was going to start going on about flipping shellfish.
No, the only reason I brought it up is because...
Look at this.
I didn't even do it.
Anyway, so what I would say, so like I said to you, just as I would question United Arab Emirates if they've actually said you can beat your wife, I would question in Hanafi fiqh, why do you, if the Quran says you can eat what's in the sea, why do you go against that and think you can't eat prawns and that? I understand the rationale.
Can we just pause that, because that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
So if you can understand, you question the Hanafi of why they can say actually you can't eat these food when the Quran explicitly says you can. Does that not apply to wife beating?
No, because what they might have done...
because what you're saying is...
Because the Prophet ﷺ was definitive on it.
So you're saying because a hadith exists which says you can beat your wife?
No, the hadith says...
the hadith says you can beat, but it gives constraints.
Which you can't...
The Quran says you can beat, but you're saying the message...
What type of...
Please, I've listened patiently. You're saying that the message behind that Quran is that you can't beat your wife. That was what you said. That's what you had the huge debate about. You said the purpose of that verse...
No. What I said is this.
Okay, maybe
I said he implied the Quran doesn't set a limit to regards to beating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means if someone just reads the Quran and they think they can beat your wife, they think they could beat your wife as much as you like.
Did I mishear you? Because I thought you said, maybe I misheard, and it'll be on camera. But did you say the purpose of that verse was to show that you can't beat your wife? Because that was what.
No.
Okay, perfect. Okay, sorry, I probably
No, you implied that. No, basically what I'm saying to you is this: if the Quran says you can beat your wife, right, and somebody disused the Quran and they interpret it as he interprets it, if he ever became a Muslim, he thinks he can beat his wife, for example.
I don't.
Right, okay. Well, you just said you did.
I wouldn't become a Muslim and I wouldn't beat my wife.
No, you just said you could, though, according to the Quran.
Oh, I could.
So what did I just say?
I could.
So I just said.
I wouldn't.
So what did I just say?
Let's say I would.
I just said if he became a Muslim, he would believe the Quran allows him to beat his wife if he chooses to, as much as he likes. All right, because there's no limit to it. It doesn't say stop here, stop there. All right.
Maybe he believes that that's up to the individual. The same way that slavery is permissible.
And like I said to you, so then according to the individual, if they catch their wife in bed with a neighbour and they know they're allowed to beat their wife's going to get battered if there's no limit to it, But in Islam, because of the teachings of Muhammad ﷺ with regards to that verse about the beating, no hitting the face, no causing pain, no leaving a mark, that's no beating. So a man is not at liberty then to beat his wife as he likes. Basically, the Prophet used the word. It's funny, someone just give me a miswak. It says it's like using a miswak. This is a miswak.
But they used to be a bit bigger than that as well.
Maybe a little bit. Now, if I was to beat you with this, and I can't cause you pain, I can't hit you in the face, nor can I leave a mark.
If it was like that little gentle stroke you gave me before, then definitely.
So if I can't hit the face, because I can't poke you in the face, right? I can't leave a mark, nor can I cause you any pain. Can you define that as a beating?
How far can you possibly go?
So is it
right? Can you or not?
So what's the reason? The question is what's the reason?
I agree.
Right.
The hadith,
right. So what will this then? What will this be then?
No, I'm not.
What will it be?
That be like final warning.
To be honest, if I did that to my wife when she was really annoyed at me, that would probably result in me.
Now here's the thing: it doesn't. Now here's the funny thing: there's no prohibition on women beating their husbands. You know that, don't you? Anyway, right? You know, I think Egyptian men are the most abused men in the world. You know that? They say that, innit? Egyptian men, their wives beat them, man.
Statistics coming out of Egypt, the Tahrir Square and things like that.
I wouldn't believe all that either.
It's one of the most abusive countries.
I'll say it again to you: the most abused husbands in the world are in Egypt. Okay, just so you're aware of that. Okay. So what could this be?
Feminists watching this, please message me with those statistics.
Okay. So what could this be? Nothing more than I'm letting you know you're at your limit with me, and anything like this again, we're finished.
To be honest, that's a little bit weird. If I'm in a huge debate with my wife, we're really like, she's
no, it's got to be on that. It's got to be on that.
Everything, and then I get my little toothpick out.
No, don't forget.
Oh,
no. Here's the problem. You see, you've ignored the steps. Yeah. This is what prevents a crime of passion. You see, first thing, you can admonish her. What you doing?
You discuss with her
what's going on.
It takes time,
right? And then you separate yourself from her bed. So you don't sleep in the same bed as her now.
It's not just one off.
And then
over time.
And then Now you know.
Truthfully, like, with the greatest respect, and I don't mean to disrespect Islam here, but if I'm in like a huge thing about she's been cheating on me, she's stealing all my money, we've sat down, we've had a serious talk, and like I'm in tears, she's in tears, and then I pull out my toothpick and stroke her arm. That's a little bit weird.
Okay. Did I say to you? Did I say to you? You have to pull out a toothpick. No.
I thought that's what this was.
No, I said I likened it to it. Likened it.
I like that you carried this round, by the way.
I just got someone give it to me today. Alhamdulillah. I'm glad they give it to me.
I was going to say, I hope this
so people can see the beating that we can give. All right, that's just to symbolise. It didn't say use a. The Prophet didn't say in the hadith, go get a miswak and use a miswak. You see, he likened. That's the heaviness of it. That's the lightness of it. All right. Okay. So that's that. So we know the Prophet ﷺ has gone definitive on wife beating. So there's no. Now, if someone wants to come and say you can beat your wife excessively, you can give her black eyes, you can punch her in the face, you can cause pain. I want to know why they're ignoring the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ.
Can I ask a question? Because
wait 1 second. No.
Okay,
no more questions right now. No more questions right now. Okay. No more questions right now.
He's going to bring out the toothpick in a minute.
Not so. You're not my wife. Don't worry about that, mate.
All
right. Don't need no toothpicks with you, mate.
We make beautiful children. We make beautiful children.
So anyway, I think there'll be ginger in it. Anyway, so basically, that's that. So there is no other way to really look at that verse.
Okay, can I ask one question about these things? Because I was told, probably by the wrong people, that these used to be a lot bigger.
How big is your mouth? Because they're used for two.
To be honest.
Okay. Go, give me this. Let's say
it used to be like this.
Let's use this as an example. Let's say this was the miswak.
Just going to step back so I can't put it in camera. There we go.
All right. Now I'm going to beat you with this. I can't cause you pain. I can't leave a mark, nor can I hit the face.
Can I? Okay.
All right. There is no difference whether it's this big or this big.
Okay.
I still can't cause you pain.
Can I ask a question on?
Bismillah.
Can I just explain to you what the symbolism?
Yeah. No.
Careful.
Joseph.
I would say.
Joseph. No, he's going to go definitive now for you on the symbolism.
I just want to explain what the symbolism is of, because we're talking about symbolism, but what does it symbolise? All of the steps that are previously described, they're between the husband and wife. So together, there's been some sort of illegal intercourse or whatever. The husband first has to sort of discuss with her, argue over the matter, like what's going on, can we resolve this? That will take months to do that. If that doesn't work, then you separate yourself from the marital bed. Again, it's not for one night I'm not sleeping with you. That again takes months.
Who's that punishing?
Well, probably yourself actually. But you're trying to make the point that actually this is something that's very serious.
Yeah.
This is still between the husband and wife. It's not. It's a private matter.
No one knows.
The next step then is this, and that's I'm going to sort you. But this is that's symbolising the step that follows this. This step symbolises that this is now going to become a public matter, because when the next step then is bring the people, two members from her family, two members from your family, and the verses go on to say this if you read them.
Just on that, does she have the same mechanism?
Yes, so she does. Yes,
she does. So she
doesn't say so in the Quran.
But it's not that.
Doesn't say so in the Quran.
Because this is why he's explained to you that we take our understanding from a wider source.
Are there hadith that say that the woman can use the miswak on the man?
No, it's not the miswak that's used, but she has the same mechanism. She can get other people involved.
What can she do?
There is another verse.
Personally, I'm not sure aware of what she can do, but she is able to bring.
My understanding was a woman couldn't initiate a divorce in Islam.
She can. It's not a khula. She can do that.
Perfect.
It's just a different way of doing it. It's not the same mechanism.
Because women are more emotional than men.
So the symbolism.
I don't know. We've got some pretty emotional men in Speaker's Corner.
There's some
pretty unemotional women.
No, but if a woman had the right of talaq, men would be divorced left, right, and centre, because we're not saying there's anything wrong with it, but they have an emotional nature and they could react in a certain way.
So you're saying women would be more likely to divorce their husbands?
Oh, most definitely.
So the Quran protects men from being divorced by their
No. Basically, God Almighty knows the nature of men and knows the nature of women. And now this is not a generalisation as such, but more often than not, women can be more emotional than men.
So would you say the high divorce rate in the West is because women can divorce their husbands?
No. We're talking about the mechanism of talaq.
Okay.
See, the route for the woman to divorce is longer than the route for the man. Yeah, depending on the school of thought with regards to talaq, 3 talaqs, and then it's over. Okay. So a man is more likely to reason it more than a woman, maybe more likely just to an emotional state. I know, I've not always been a Muslim. Yeah, I've experienced women, and they do emotional things and regret it after. Yeah, more often than not, men, unless they're in influence of alcohol or whatever, generally have a more reasoned view on it. Just the way we're made up, I believe. Personally.
I disagree with that, but that's fine.
You can disagree with that. I don't mind. But I'm just trying to rationalise the different mechanisms with regards to divorce. But that's another story. But anyway.
And Thatcher and things like there may be.
No. Nobody's saying. Like I said to you, it's not every woman and every man. There are emotional men. I agree with you. To be honest with you, a lot of Arab men are very emotional. But mashallah, it's reactionary. Someone insults Islam or insults the Prophet Muhammad, they react burning this and effigies, and you know what I mean. Whereas I'm a Muslim. If someone did these things, I wouldn't react in that way. Yeah. But we all have our different makeups. You know what I mean. But when in relationship matters. Yeah, it's a different story. But anyway, this is going off the point. Just explain the symbolism.
So the point is that the symbolism is of a private matter now becoming a public matter. That's all it is. And it's actually nothing. Sure. It's actually a series of events that then signifies actually now that this is no longer between us. So this is going to become a greater matter.
Is the malak done in public there?
Talak.
Malak, sorry.
Talak.
I thought talak was when you said it.
Yeah, what's malak?
I thought what you said. This thing was called miswak.
Okay,
sorry, so many Arabic words.
No. This is telling her. You don't. Okay.
Yeah, that's still behaved. So the talak, we should say 3 times.
What I need you to understand, what I need you to get out of your mind, what I need you to get out of your mind is that someone's got a miswak on a little shelf in their house, right, waiting to use it in this event.
Well,
all right. This is just symbolising the lightness of the tap. It's not saying go and get a miswak and utilise that. It's basically the level.
When you were given this, I was concerned someone was promoting misogyny and wife beating.
Yeah,
but that's not the case.
What I would say.
So basically, what he's saying is, so after that symbolic, then that's when the other families are going to find out and everyone's going to come together. And after that, if there's still no reconciliation, then obviously talaq.
The word that's used.
Allah should not have used the word beat in the Quran. If what you're saying is true, he should not have used the word beat, because the word beat has a meaning, and the way you describe it is not beat, it's tap.
Maybe, yeah.
So I would.
I'll say to you again. What is the Arabic word used?
Well, I trust the Muslims who translate it.
No.
I'm saying you said
Arabic professors in every Quran I've read says beat. That's the word they use.
No, but how do you understand that word?
They should use the word tap. There's a standard.
What's the Arabic word for tap?
There's a standard word. People know what you mean by beat. If they didn't mean beat, they've used the wrong word.
Anyway,
they've used the wrong word.
We know your opinion.
I'd love it if you changed the Quran, took out the word beat and said tap. That'd be much better.
Joseph,
if you were to get water and you lifted the water into your hands and you threw it on your face, the same word would be applied to that action. So if you think you're beating your face with water, then that's your own opinion. But this is actually what the word is also used to mean. So the word that's used and translated is unfortunate.
Just on that, are there any Muslims that believe that word does mean splash with water?
Quran only.
Because I've had water thrown in my face by emotional women before. Never the other way around.
She was symbolising to you that that's going to become a public matter.
No, but Quran only Muslims, I'm pretty sure, interpret it in that manner.
Yeah.
And when he says Quran as well, when you give example, he give وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Means somebody's hideous and you should just
give them example.
The lesson from all of this, Joseph, you should get, and even you should get, okay, is this. The Quran is not always saying what you think it's saying. So when in future conversations you're speaking with Muslims and you try to use verses of the Quran to support you, make sure you understand those verses before utilising them.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
My response to that.
We say there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger. The ones on thee know it's a sacrifice, but it's a small price to pay for all the rewards we'll get from Allah. Inshallah.
They wanna know about Islam, we'll give them dawah. They wanna know what a Muslim does, we'll give them dawah. When they wanna hate on our deen, we'll give them dawah. Who's the one and only? Nobody but Allah.